Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's consumer webinar. My name is John Cheong. Thank you for attending tonight's webinar on timing the market. Of course, a lot of you will be asking a lot of questions on what is the market today. Okay, so of course, today what we're going to address is strategies, data, and statistics to ace your real estate investment. Identifying the potential gold mine you wouldn't want to miss. So of course, once again, thank you everyone for attending tonight's consumer webinar. Okay, without further ado, I shall start the webinar. So who am I? I have 20 years of industry experience, lead project in charge for numerous projects over the year, including existing ones like Canning Hill Piers, Irwell Hill Residences, Revere, One Pearl Bank, The Landmark, Piccadilly Grand, the Gazania, the Lilium, and Seneca Residence. So of course, tonight we have a disclaimer to show you that actually we have done our best, we Huttons have done our best to actually provide you as accurate information as possible. So of course, a lot of you have a lot of burning questions today. Your burning questions will most probably include some of these over here. Why are so many people buying now? Why buy brand new? The global pandemic, will it affect property prices? Why property prices are so high now? Why property prices and when will it fall? Why should I buy now? Where should I buy? And when is the best time to exit? So today, I will do my best to address all these questions. Okay. Any questions, if you have, feel free, type inside the chat. Okay. My fellow ICs will answer your questions. So today, we will use not just based on verbal talk. Every single slide will come with data, statistics, and articles to back up the claim. Understanding the property market. Okay, this question is important to most people. Where is it? Where is the market moving towards? So of course, the property market trend based on year comparison, you realize that the prices are 21.5% higher than previous peak. Okay, you can see from the chart itself, it has been growing up since 2017. And price have gained year on year, which means the end of last year, 2022, is way higher than 2021. And you can see from this sharp curve upwards. Each price peak is always higher than the previous. Of course, we went through several rounds of cooling measures. But has these cooling measures affected us? Actually, in fact, not. Because if you take a look at this chart itself, it has continued to rise regardless of whether how serious the cooling measure is. So then again, has this cooling measure affected the market and how much has it affected? So more data to show you, okay, impact on the profits after the cooling measure. You can see the cooling measure did not stop the price increment. In fact, the price increment has went up by about 25.5%. And the impact of ABSD is only temporary. Why temporary? Because we realized that after the last cooling measure, there was always this window period about 6 months. And this 6 months period itself was actually the start of this development last year called Piccadilly Grand. During the period of time, I did a consumer webinar to tell everyone that that is actually the best time to buy. Because while others are still waiting and thinking, should I buy or should I not? That is when the prices are considered at the lowest entry level. After Piccadilly Grand, we realized that every single launch after the development itself has went up very high. Every single price is higher than the previous one. So why are so many people buying still, despite the rising interest rate? Okay, interest rate is a very hot topic today. So let's look into the interest rates. If you look at the interest rate itself, we know that today is a very high value, correct? But then again, based on data, we realize that the answer is inconclusive because even from 2016 to 2017, interest rate rose, but property prices rose as well, right? So we realized that it's not because of the interest, whether is it high or is it low. It's more of the demand and supply thingy, okay, because they are the main driving factors. Okay, as of end of last year, the unstocked data is at a record low of 15,667. So then again, if you are concerned on the interest rate, okay, some good news for you, because UOB has mentioned that the US funds rate trajectory is actually starting to taper down. Even the papers has mentioned this is due to the US dollar dropping and the Fed hiking the expectations. So of course, another hot topic today is the SVB impact, right? So of course, this is very debatable. I'm not in any position to actually talk about why SVB or whatsoever and discuss about it. But based on what we have seen in the articles, Business Times has mentioned HSBC is buying over SVB. At the same time, MAS came out on 13th of March to clarify that Singapore banking system remains sound and resilient amid the SVB collapse, right? And if you are not assured enough, on 21st of March, MAS again came out to reassure the market amid the potential credit crunch. Okay, of course, they also mentioned Singapore banks are well capitalized with strong liquidity metrics. They are also unaffected by the balance sheet uncertainty driven by the confidence of the US and European banks. So if MAS is able to come up twice, okay, to reassure all consumers in the market, I think this is something we should feel very ease at. So of course, another impact in the market will be the BSD. But please note that BSD is not a cooling measure, it's more of a wealth tax. So we do note that since the BSD implementation, okay, in February, the price rose by about 9.9%. Okay, and if you take a look at the chart itself, you realize that the increment is actually very insignificant. So what is the advantage of buying brand new, okay, which is BUC, a building under construction? When you buy a building under construction development, you literally leverage on the progressive payment scheme. Okay? That means there'll be certain times where you don't even need to pay anything until the next progressive stage, which is most probably the foundation stage, is completed. So let's take a look. We just need to base on a case study of about $2 million purchase with 75% loan. You realize that once the foundation work is being activated, maybe in a few more months' time, okay, it will only low $450 per month installment. Compared if you buy a resale, the full-blown installment will be looking at about $6,760. Right? So when we assume a BUC versus a resale, okay, this case study itself, you will note that when you buy a brand new launch, okay, of course, you need to pay a 5% booking fee. In 8 weeks later, you need to pay a 15% booking fee. Of course, plus the 5% foundation work if you take a 75% loan and the stamp duties. Your total outlay is about 570,000. But when you buy a resale, you realize that the initial part is exactly the same. But due to the supply issue in today's market, most resale are cash over valuation. So we just need to take a simple 50,000 cash over valuation as an example, and a renovation cost for a 2 million property may be at about 80,000. Your total outlay way exceeds what you're paying for in a brand new launch. It's about 699,000, almost 700,000. So you can see the outlay difference. And then again, besides the outlay difference, if we talk about progressive, okay, how to leverage on progressive payment. If you take a look at BUC itself, in the first year itself, is if foundation work is the only stage being caught, you only pay $1,330 interest besides your principal amount, right? But then if you buy a resale, immediately because of the high interest today at 4%, okay, your interest will be paying close to $60,000. Right, so you can see a huge difference. Okay, in the second year, if the framework is completed, you only pay about close to $9,000, whereas for a resale, it's already about close to 59,000 additional interest. Right, so we base on the 3 years total. okay, of a BUC, brand new, you will be paying about 34,000. Compared to you're paying already 175,000 worth of interest. So if the fourth year, you're already paying about 231,000 for resale in terms of interest. Whereas if the interest rate still remain at 4% for a BUC, okay, it will be only about 47,000, total about 82,000. So what does this chart tells you? This chart tells you that we do know that UOB mentioned that the interest rate will most probably start to come down, okay, by the end of this year. So when you buy a brand new launch, you don't have to pay so much interest. Whereas if you buy a resale, you lock in at a very high interest today, and therefore you're paying more on interest when you could have paid much lesser. Okay, so that's the advantage of buying brand new over resale. Next thing, why is today's sales volume so strong? So this is a very good question. Oh, I thought the pandemic situation will cause the prices to be affected. I heard the global situation is not that good, right? Yes, we hear a lot of hearsays, but then again, what we need to understand is that how come the demand is still so strong is due to the demand and supply. So when we understand what is driving the demand, let's take a look at what's happening. We do know that the population is moving towards the target 2030 about 6.5 to 6.9 million. Okay, so this is what the government is projecting. Okay, the GDP will grow. Okay, the production grow. New homes also will grow. So, but the main thing is that when the population grow, what is happening? Who is coming to Singapore? We realize that the population has grown about 3.4% to about 5.64. Okay, reversing 2 years of decline. Okay, look at the number of citizenship granted today. About 21,000 are the new citizens, right? Permanent residence is hitting 33,000. Okay, new marriages is hitting about 23,000, and the foreign employment is at 98,000. So we do know that there's a lot of new population in Singapore. So when there's a lot of new population in Singapore, what will happen? Demand will increase, right? So, but what is the fastest way to increase the population based on what the government is trying to achieve? So we do note that if you have seen the papers on National Day rally, our esteemed Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has mentioned that he's going to attract foreigners and retain talent with new initiative. So what are the attract and retain things? So of course, they're going to have this new PR scheme, okay, updated to woo 2 groups of foreign investors. They also going to have a new work pass permit, and you take a look at this new criteria, 30,000 per month salary among this new work pass, which is going to be issued out. That's the reason why with such high salary, a lot of foreigners are coming into Singapore. While most think that this pandemic will only cause a market downturn, which is a very normal thinking, what it actually happened is that it created a very huge reality check in most people, causing them to take action. So what action was taken? You will see that a lot of foreigners, because of how their country has handled the pandemic, they have chosen Singapore as a very safe haven. Okay, a country where the economic situation is very strong. It's good to continue doing business over here. A country without any natural disasters, and a very safe haven for their family to grow up in. So when they come into Singapore, they add on to the population. They also add on to the demand for homes. The circuit breaker also made a lot of them to think twice, because most of the countries, you have very huge lockdown, right? But then again, for Singaporeans, we will think twice about staying together in a smaller house. Why? I remember even myself, okay, in this pandemic situation, every day we see each other. The house, even though no matter how big you think it is, becomes very small. It affects privacy, right? Your own personal space. So what has happened? Okay, of course, firstly, more singles are starting to seek up their own homes, right? Start their own families, and result into a smaller household. Okay, besides those which want to move away from their current home today, the parents, and then look for a home on their own. So the household has reduced from 4 to 2. And because of that, the splitting of households makes these people need to buy a home to stay. And this adds on to the demand of homes today. So let's summarize on this demand. Okay, more people trying to move into private residential. The increased number of private residential household has increased the demand for renters, because those who don't have enough money to maybe cash upfront to buy a new home, they will choose to rent. And that's why the rental prices have increased so much today. Okay, of course, more people with higher education are choosing Singapore because this is a better place to earn money, to do business, and better employment too. Okay, higher average household income, population increasing, and of course, the ultra rich also coming into Singapore. Okay, so of course, demand is one thing. What about the other part, which is supply? And we do note that demand and supply, if it goes concurrently on the same level, the market will be very stable. But unfortunately, when we look at land supply, we realize that our country is very small. Our country is only about 728.6 kilometers square, right? And based on the target population, we are still way behind all those established cities in the world. And a country itself cannot just be full of housing. It needs to have a very nice balance from land and sea. So of course, you need to have housing, you need commercial, you need defense, you need airport, you need greeneries, you need heritage, you need agriculture. So these are all the needs a country needs to have. And therefore, Singapore has expanded from 1960, okay, you can see this in beige color, to what it is today. So why this expansion? Okay, this is a very curious thing. What is the supply issue? You would note that based on this year, there will be a lot of new supplies coming into the market. Okay, when we talk about this supply, it's actually those completed supplies. You realize that by next year, 2-3 years later, the supply is dropping at a very fast pace. Why? Because there's not enough homes which are being built to cater to the current demand. So how do we solve this issue? We need more land. Why? Because unsold units is equals to new supply minus away the units sold. So the only way to actually increase more is actually to sell more land, right? Increase more supply is to sell more land. Now let's take a look at this chart, okay? How do we boost up the supply? Just take for example, in 2016, the number of GLS is about close to 3,001. The en bloc is about 2,004. The total new units in the market is about 5,005. But all these units will only start to come into the market the year after. So in 2007, this is where the new supply of 5,005 comes in. But do you realize that the new sales in the whole year of 2017 is close to 11,000? And therefore, we have a minus 5,000 homes. That means there is more sales than what is supply coming into the market. So if we take a look at every single year, based on the total itself, you realize that by the total, the new supply in the market is only about 48,000. But then the new sales in the market is at 59,000, right? So therefore, it has a minus 11,000 gap over there. So if we take a look at this gap itself, this gap can only be closed if there's more new supply than new sales every year. But unfortunately, it's not the case. So if we were to close the gap in 2 years, that means the new supply needs to exceed the new sales by about 5,007 units every year, which we know is not possible. Okay? Therefore, we take a look, 3 years. If the new supply exceeds the new sales by 3,008, you think it's possible? It's again a very rushed supply into the market. So we can only estimate that, okay, if the gap closes in 4 years, the new supply exceeds the new sales by about 2,009 every year. So this is the kind of pace, okay, of new supply needed to be in the market in order to fulfill what is the current demand. Based on this chart itself, you will note that the average unsold units is about 27,000 or 28,000. That's from 2012 to 2021. But based on the end of last year, fourth quarter last year, we realized that there was a shortfall of 12,000 new units. So 12,000 new units is below the 10-year average, and it has resulted in price pressure. So we also analyze based on all the data and statistics itself. We note that in order to have a market stability, okay, for housing stock, it needs to be about 27,000 units. But unfortunately, it's not the case at this moment of time. So what is the result of this depleting supply? Okay, it is a very, very massive impact. What is the massive impact? It has caused the unsold private housing data to hit a 15-year low. And because of that, prices will increase. And its prices is as what you're seeing today in 2023, right? So of course, besides the unsold units depleting, developers, due to limited land, right? Developers, in order to fill up their depleting land banks and to continue this business, they are very hungry for land, okay, as mentioned by DBS itself. And what has happened? You realize that every single land which they go in and bid, okay, is higher than the previous one. You can see very clearly from this chart itself, okay? And just alone in this 2021 to 2023, you realize that every single land way exceeded what was previous, right? So you see in 2018 to 2019, the average was, we're talking about maybe 1,002 per square foot PPR. Now it has all risen to be average about 1,004, and every single land is higher than the other. Of course, Jalan Tembusu is the lowest starting among all, is what is going to come out soon. So, of course, we are no stranger to this particular news, because hints was actually given to us quite a while ago. Okay? Property prices to double by 2030. Who actually gave us this hint? Morgan Stanley in 2017 already told us that the prices will double by 2030. Okay? It will be risen about 5% year on year. Okay? Then DBS also came up with a research to mention that by property prices by 2030, you'll be looking about 2003 to 2009 per square foot. But then again, what Morgan Stanley has mentioned, what DBS has mentioned, is this what is happening today. Today, we realize that the end of last year, the average nationwide is about 2003 per square foot. And at 2003 per square foot, it way exceeded DBS prediction of 6.3 population by 2030 to only hit 2,299 per square foot. And if it's 6.5, it will hit 2009. So we have already exceeded what is the price forecast, okay, for a 6.3 million population. And we are not far off from this 2009 per square foot by 2030. And don't forget, we are now only in 2023. So what the analysts of Morgan Stanley and DBS has predicted, we already far exceeded their prediction. We are moving at a faster pace due to the demand and due to the supply. So the summary will tell you that this is due to limited land supply, not enough land release causing a very low stock. So now, when we know that demand and supply is a very big issue, do you buy now or do you wait? Will prices be higher next year? We do note that in this Business Time article, the government has set new definitions for developers to follow, which means it will affect their sellable area and margins. We also note that the GST has risen. But you will question me this thing, oh my, when I buy property, I don't have to pay GST. But is it true? Okay, yes, of course, when you buy real estate, you don't have to pay GST. But how does GST affect your purchase? Construction costs. Construction costs has increased. We do note that in the pandemic, construction costs has caused material prices to increase. And when it increase, don't forget all these material have GST. So when GST increase, means all these material costs, which was already risen, will increase again a lot more. Right? That means the cost of buying. And who does this material cost affect? Actually, mainly the construction companies, right? And who uses this construction company? Is the developer. So of course, the cost needs to be passed on to somebody. And who is the person the cost is going to pass on? Is actually the consumers. So of course, we have noted that the construction cost has increased quite significantly. From 2019 to 2023. For OCR, it's about 300, it's increased to about 450. So it's a 50% increase. Okay, for the OCR, RCR is about 450, it's risen to about 650. It's about 45% increase. All right, so you see construction cost has increased a lot. And we note that the BSD is actually insignificant to the consumer because it's only about $1,000, right? Increase for every 100,000, right? But then again, to the developer, this BSD is affected the most. Why? Because developers are paying at a much higher quantum to purchase the land, and they still have to pay the BSD, and therefore it's almost a 50% increase of BSD to the developer. So then again, construction costs, GST, and then all this BSD, it has resulted in a higher cost for the developer, which ends up is being pushed down to the consumers. Another thing in the market will be the inflation. Of course, inflation, we also note that in 2008, okay, they came out this article to mention to you how to overcome the inflation. And we do know that real estate is one of the best asset class in hedging against inflation, right? So let's summarize. What's the outlook of next year? So next year, we will note that the sellable area will be lower, okay? Construction costs will definitely increase, or maybe it will increase, okay? Maybe land costs will remain stable, or maybe it will go up, okay? We just take it that it will remain stable, okay? Maybe interest rate will remain stable, or maybe it go down, but BSD will continue to go up. And all this, when it results, it summarizes into a higher selling price next year, about 5 to 10%. This year, we are already predicting about a 3 to 5% increase, okay, in selling prices. So of course, let's take a recap of last year. Okay, what is the recent launches news? We do note that the OCR today is priced very much higher due to what has happened. Okay, demand, supply, and also the cost bought by the developers. So Seneca in the OCR itself, you see, about 60% sold. You realize that the one bedroom is about starting from 1.23 million, correct? The two bedrooms is about 1.7, and the size is about 883. Okay, when you come down, the highest per square foot is located about 2,003 per square foot transacted, right? Sky Eden in Bedok also, there's no one bedroom, but the two bedrooms is already selling about 1.7 million estimated. Okay, the three bedrooms is about 2.5 million estimated. The highest per square foot achieved is at 2286. Lantor Modern, again, another one in the OCR. High volume sold also, almost 87%. The one bedroom is already about 1.3 million. Okay, two bedrooms is about 1.8 million. The highest per square foot transacted is about 2005. Piccadilly Grand, okay, 87% by the similar developer of CDL and MCL itself. The one bedroom is already about 1.4 million. But of course, this is an RCR. The two bedroom is about 1.7. So remember when I was mentioning to you the starting of last year, the first development to come up after the cooling measure was Piccadilly Grand. And yet at RCR, they came up with this pricing, and the highest per square foot transacted was only about 2,006 per square foot, correct? After that, all the other launches came up. You will realize they're all much higher. Even Ammo, almost 99% sold. Two bedrooms is about 1.7 plus. Live at MB, similar area in District 15 is about 1.4 million for a one bedroom. Two bedrooms is about 1,000 square feet, is about 2.4 million. And please take note that all these, okay, prices are already sold. Okay, they are all transacted. That's why you're able to achieve such transacted prices over here. All right. So now you'll be asking me, wow, which area in Singapore should I buy where most people prefer to live in? Yeah, this is a very good question. So when we did a search onto data, we found out something. We realized that you should buy into District 15. Why District 15? Because based on the heat map of residential transactions, most of the transactions in Singapore are actually located in the east. And in District 15, it has the highest sales volume. So what is the sales volume versus the rest of Singapore? You realize that District 15 itself constitutes to about 108% versus the rest of Singapore at about close to 71%. And this is the chart. Even if most people prefer to stay in the east, what are the URA plans to reassure the investment, right? Your investment. What are the assurances? Then you need to take a look at this thing. First, when we are talking about assurances, we need to know what are the government's plan, right? What is the URA's plan into the area? And we do note that the government has mentioned that Singapore is very small. Oh, we all do know that Singapore is very small. So the land use planning is very crucial. So our esteemed Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has also mentioned that he's going to launch the long-term plan review. Okay, this is how they will transform the way we live, work, and play while strengthening our roots and heritage. So in 2030, they're going to have more land, more homes, more greenery. So these are the plans already stated by URA. And this is how they're going to separate the whole entire land uses for this long-term plan. So let's go in depth into this long-term plan. In order to know what is the long-term plan, in order to be assured of your investment returns, you need to understand the most important thing, the master plan. So what is this master plan? How do you create your wealth? Okay, by understanding this master plan. So we do note that these are the areas, the 6 areas which is targeted by the government in the planning for this by 2030. So of course, Tuas Megaport is one of them. Island reclamation, the Greater Southern Waterfront. Okay, this is very well highlighted by our government. The Long Island Plan, the Paya Lebar Air Base area, and the Changi region. Why these 6 areas? Let's go and take a look. How do we identify a gold mining area? As I promised you today, we will try to find the gold mine, correct? So how do we identify? After looking at the government's plan, we have realized that this development, Tembusu Grand, is located in the center of these 4 major transformations. So of course, in the north, you have the Paya Lebar transformation. In the west, you got the Kallang Alive Kampong Bugis Founders Memorial. In the south, you have the Long Island Plan. In the east, where a lot of the major transformation takes place, will be Changi Business Park, Changi East Urban District, SUTD, and Terminal 5. So let's go into these transformations now. So Paya Lebar transformation, what is it going to be? Paya Lebar is going to be converted into a commercial precinct, innovation hotbed for businesses. Then what about the west side? On the west side itself, Kallang Sports Hub. So what is the Kallang Sports Hub going to be transformed? Finally, maybe you have heard of the Kallang Sports Hub going to be transformed for a very long time. So finally, in 2025, okay, it's going to be transformed into a very vibrant precinct. So of course, this is going to be mainly an entertainment area. And this is what it will look like in future, okay, starting from 2025. Then in the south side, okay, you hit the Founders Memorial and the Long Island Plan. So of course, Founders Memorial will be a very beautiful area suitable for large gatherings. So you can see some of the artist's impression of what is going to be in future. And it's also a very crucial station of the Thomson East Coast Line. So of course, the Long Island Plan, this one, wow, is a decades old planning. Actually, more than 3 decades ago, the government has already envisioned to reclaim the island along the whole length of East Coast, okay, a beachfront area. So what are they doing to this area? You realize that it will cover a 15-kilometer stretch and about 10 to 15,000 public and private housing of the future. So this is what the Long Island Plan is going to be. And please take note, this is along the sea, correct? So this is actually all seafront future developments. So guess the price of these developments in future. So upcoming transformation, okay, the east will be Changi Airport. So we know, wow, a beautiful airport, Changi Airport is going to come up in future. Cater to about 50 million passengers a year. Okay, bigger than T1 to T3 combined. Okay, at the same time, besides the T5 coming up, it will also lead you to this new area called Changi East Urban District. Why? Because the Changi Airport is actually a gateway to the world. And it's also the place where all foreigners, or every one of us, when we travel from overseas to Singapore, where we touch down. So the first impression of these foreigners of Singapore is the Changi Airport area. So this area here, Changi East Urban District, is going to be a new business district. It may be even the new financial district, which leads you, okay, connected to the Changi Business Park area, where you note that in Changi Business Park today, there are a lot of banks over there. Because in Changi Business Park, it leads to another place where it's called the SUTD. So let's go into this plan. You will note that when it leads you to Changi Business Park, these are all the companies currently located in Changi Business Park. You have Huawei, you got Standard Chartered, you got Citigroup, you got DBS over there now. But then again, it's going to expand upwards to this area. But what is this area over here? You will note that in this area here, it's actually very, very close beside to this place called SUTD, Singapore University of Technology and Design. But if you know what is the main pillar of SUTD, the main pillar of SUTD is actually AI, artificial intelligence. So of course, when you know artificial intelligence is actually the future of the world. And if there's artificial intelligence, you need a lot of financing. So that's why this whole area here is what we predict is going to be a financial district of the future Singapore, right? Because all the banks will need to finance for what is going to be of the future, artificial intelligence. So of course, when you have seen the transformation, okay, we already note that we found a gold mine. This gold mine area is actually Tembusu Grand. Then we need to know what the MRT effect will happen in this area. So do you know that the timing of the MRT release actually greatly affects property prices as well? This is very crucial. Why? Because the impact of MRT network is very high. Of course, we know that the MRT network in 2021 to what is going to be in 2030 is going to be massively changed. We also note that all the property prices has increased, but how sure are we? So again, using data and statistics, let's take a look. Example, Northeast Line. When the MRT is completed in the Northeast Line, we note that the prices, okay, around Kovan Station has increased about 317% prior to the MRT being completed. We also note that around Potong Pasir, when the MRT is completed, the land value increased about 96%. So we see it's increase. Then we also take a look at the new launch prices. Wow, do you realize it's a very high, sharp increase once the Northeast Line is completed? Same thing, in District 13, the prices went up a lot after the Northeast Line is completed. So now we summarize, we realize that, okay, once the Northeast Line is completed, there is more population, okay? The land cost has increased, the prices have also increased. But is it just a one-off case? Or is it maybe due to the location or people like to stay in Kovan area or Potong Pasir area? Let's take a look at other MRT line. And we realize when we look into the Circle Line, a similar trend has occurred. Taking note of developments, the older developments, for example, Thomson 800, TOP in 1999. Once the MRT is completed, the price went up to about 70% just after the MRT is completed. So it's about 546 per square foot increase. But you think Thomson 800 is the only one? Actually, we take a look at Dakota Residence. Dakota Residence 2010, 99 years, the price increased by about 49%, about $491 per square foot increase. Okay? once the MRT is completed. So wow, proven examples of the Northeast Line and the Circle Line. So which other line will create the next massive impact? Let's take a look. Thomson East Coast Line is our answer. Why? Because it costs about 25 billion to build. But 25 billion to build doesn't really make much of an effect, correct? It is more of how much the government spent to build this line. But when you take a look at this line itself, do you realize that this line cuts through a lot of landed home areas? This line is also termed as the rich man line. And this is the only line to cut through. You see, there are 4 main business nodes in Singapore. And it's the only line, Thomson East Coast Line, to cut through 3 of them. Okay, of course, the central area, we know the CBD area. We also know what is going to happen in Changi Airport, okay, the Changi East Urban District, Changi Business Park. And the other one is the Woodlands Regional Centre. So Thomson East Coast Line is the only line to cut through Woodlands to the central area to the Changi Airport region. So let me give you an example of how the impact of this MRT will take place and why it affects all developers' costs. Okay, you see, we just take a look at Lentor. Lentor itself, before the MRT is completed, the whole area there, the lands are already created. But then again, why was it not released for sale? The MRT itself was built at 247 million. Just a Lentor MRT is 247 million. But the government chose to only release those government land sales after this MRT is completed. So after the MRT is completed, every single land sale, you look at their price. Do you realize that every single land costs more than just building the MRT? What timing is it? Yeah, it's very obvious, right? So do you realize the trend is always the same? Every time when the MRT is completed, everything increased, regardless whether resale increase or land costs increase. But do you notice that the Thomson East Coast Line stations are located at many future government land sales area? This and especially the main government's planning area. So let's take a look at all those areas. Okay, you will see Mount Pleasant area. You see Orchard Boulevard area. You will see Outram Maxwell area. You will see the Gardens by the Bay area, which is the Marina South area. You will see the Founders Memorial area. You will see the Tanjong Rhu Katong Park area. You will see the future Bayshore Precinct area. So do you realize that the Thomson East Coast Line will create many future high land selling prices? Because all this line cuts through so many government land sales. It's already stated very clearly from the master plan. So an example, Bayshore. Bayshore itself, okay, you will see that Bayshore itself has so many lands situated over here. And these lands, we know that it's going to be targeted to release about 2029. Okay, looking at the cost of Lentor MRT, okay, where every single land costs about 1,001 per square foot and above, right? So imagine that was when 2 years ago. If 2029, all this land were to be released, okay, guess what will all these land selling costs be? At the same time, these are all seafront lands. So make your guess yourself. So when you have an opportunity, okay, invest into why we chose Tembusu Grand, because that is a first mover advantage. So of course, we know that the Thomson East Coast Line, as I mentioned one more time, it cuts through all the landed estate, and it has shown you all the different opening stages, with the final stage in Sungai Bedok by 2025. So of course, identifying the gold mine within the gold mining area. We already found the gold mining area. So let's go into the gold mine. URA government land sales tender results and successful collective sale. We realized that in this area here, why I chose Tembusu Grand is because Jalan Tembusu tender result attracted 8 big boys, okay, big developers to bid. Okay, not many land in Singapore attracts so many developers. Okay, And the reason why a developer would buy into a certain land is because they have a lot of confidence. They know that the risk of this land is very low. Okay, and the land is bidded at 1,302. So how do we compare with other lands? We will note that Tembusu Grand is the first land of the others, and the land cost is lower than what is going to come up in the market later this year. So of course, Diamond Road, the land cost is about 1,350 per square foot PPR. It's a 36% increase based on Tembusu land cost price. Okay, Tembusu, okay, the land cost is a 1,488, and this development is actually upcoming development later next month. It's called the Continuum. Okay, the land cost is about 14.2% higher than Tembusu Grand. And of course, Mayor Park, we note that the en bloc just took place. So Mayor Park land cost is at 1,668. So imagine the land cost is so much higher. And when land cost is so much higher, remember what we have covered earlier, supply, demand, and then the prices. So the cost of construction also went up, right? That means the future selling price of this development, you more or less will know how much it's going to be. So first mover advantage is something very crucial to every property purchase. Why? Because if you are the first one, that means future land prices or future development selling prices at a higher price will only cause capital appreciation in your development. So we do note that why this development, why we call it the gold mine, is because Tembusu Grand is beside 3 other future government land sales, with one so happen coming up tomorrow, right? This land bid price will be announced tomorrow. So we do note that every land so far has been higher priced than the other due to developer depletion of land banks, right? They will try to outbid each other for the land. And we do note that in this land itself, it's also in the planning area, the transformation area, where it's surrounded by these 4 areas, correct? So when the area has so strong assurances, all this land in future will only benefit Tembusu Grand, because all this, we do expect them to be selling higher than Tembusu Grand. So let's take a look why Tembusu Grand is attractive, not just because what is upcoming in terms of land prices will be selling higher. Okay, we also need to take a look what is the supply. But we realize that within a 500-meter radius, there's very limited supply. And what's the limited supply? We do know that in 1 bedroom, there's only 212 such units. 2 bedrooms, there's only 254. 3 bedrooms, only 431. 4 bedrooms, only 138. That means there's very limited of such unit types in our surrounding. So these are the developments which contributes to all the sales. And you realize that a lot of these developments are already 20 over years old. Some of them even over 30 years old. And they are the one with very limited units. You realize a lot of them are very small developments. So what does all this info tell you? Okay, it's very clear that the future prices in this area will already be very much higher. But then again, a lot of you will be telling me, hey, I hear say, leasehold do not make money, man. Freehold always better. Hey, is it true or not? So let's look at data. Okay, leasehold growth within 2 kilometers. We just based on mega land size of 10,000 square meters and above. We note that these are the developments with 10,000 square meters land size in Katong area and Amber Road area. So which are the developments? Okay, besides Tembusu Grand, we have Seaview, we have Katong Gardens, we have the Shore, we have Head Court, we have the Esta, we have One Amber, we have King's Mansion. So when we plot all their data together, we realize that they have the same growth rate regardless whether they are freehold or leasehold. So it doesn't mean that because it's leasehold means it will not make money. The data itself have shown you that they grow together. Okay? And why they grow together is because the demand for this area is very high. You already know that this area has very limited supply. And you know that this area is in the center of the main government's transformation areas, right? We also note that in the lifestyle of this area is causing all, regardless leasehold or freehold, to move together. in the same pace. So of course, let's go into which are the developments within 2 kilometer leasehold to be very sure that leasehold do not lose money, or to answer your question that leasehold do not make money. So we have actually these 9 developments. We have shortlisted 4 of them. Okay, for the rest of them, if you want to know more details, you can actually approach our Huttons associates. They are able to give you all this information. So let's take a look at the first one, Central Grove, 26 years old. But you take a look, leasehold, since 1997, 26 years old, they are still making money, and you look at their trend, it's upwards trend. 718,000 profit. Next one, Simsville, 29 years old. Wow, so old already, you know. Leasehold, but yet again, it goes upwards, and the profit highest at 1 million. Third one, Park Place, newer, 8 years old. Okay, wow, you take a look. The chart also trend higher. The highest profit is about close to 400,000. Let's take the newest one, Park Estar, 5 years old. Park Estar is much further. Park Estar is at Kembangan area. And you realize that the chart went up a lot higher. And the highest profit is about 400 over 1,000. So all this data here does tell you one thing. Regardless whether you're freehold or not, okay, you still make money, even though you may be old, okay, because you have seen from Central Grove, you have seen from Simsville. So let's take a look at the growth of mega projects in Katong. You will note that in Katong area, okay, there's only these 2 huge main land size. So this huge land size, let's take a look at the data. Cape Cod, 19 years old. Wow. Profit almost $3 million. That means it just shows that people like to stay in this area, even though it's 19 years old. Next one, Katong Gardens. Oh, it's not even older. 39 years old. Look at their profit. 1.8 million. Look at the growth of their chart. So it does tell you that as long as you are in this area, you are more or less assured of getting a good demand. Okay? So now we are very sure, regardless whether leasehold or freehold, the growth is in this area is similar. But what we do know is that apple to apple, brand new leasehold will always be lower entry than a freehold. What do I mean by this? So let's analyze more data to be very sure. What can you get in the surrounding developments? Okay, let's compare resale versus Tembusu Grand. When we compare a 1-bedroom entry, okay, we do note that among all those developments in the area of land size above 10,000 square meters, okay, we compare the similar apple to apple. One Amber, 13 years old. The current estimated price of the units over there, a 1-bedroom, is about 1.2 to 1.23 to about 1.26 million. The Estar, there is no 1-bedroom type. The shop, okay, a freehold land by Far East sold at 103 years, okay, which is already now currently 14 years old. The asking price of a 1-bedroom is about 1.05 to about 1.2 million dollars. Okay, the Seaview, there's no stock. Amber Park, there's no stock. Silver Sea, there's no stock. Côte d'Azur, 22 years old. Current asking price of a 1-bedroom is about 1.6 million dollars. So we do note that the entry level pricing of a 1-bedroom there is already hovering close to about 1.2 range. Right? Now we take a look at 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms, 1 Amber, 13 years old. Current asking price is about 2.25 to 2.5 million. The Estar, there is no units currently available for sale. The Shaw, okay, 1.7 to 2.2 million. Head Court, there is no units available for sale. Okay, Amber Park, brand new. Okay, all the 2 bedrooms are already fully sold. Silver Sea, 9 years old. The 2 bedrooms about 1.9 million to about 2.2 million. Côte d'Azur, 22 years old, about 2.1 to 2.3 million. So you realize that a majority of the 2 bedrooms in this area are above $2 million. So let's take a look at 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms, 1 Amber, 13 years old, 2.8 million to 3.2 million. The Estar, current asking price for 15-year-old development is about 3 million to about 3.03 million. The Shaw is looking about 2.3 to about 2.8 million. The Seaview, Current asking price is looking about 3.6. Amber Park, again fully sold by CDL. Okay, the Silver Sea is going about 3.2 to about $4 million. And Côte d'Azur, 22 years old, is about 2.35 to 3.6 million. So we do note that in this area, averagely for the resale asking is already about $3 million for all these developments. 4 bedrooms, okay? One Amber is about 3.6 to about 3.9. The Star is about 3.4 to about 3.8. The Shore is about 2.9. Seaview is about 2.45 to about 4 million. Okay, one Amber Park also fully sold, as I mentioned. Silver Sea is looking about 5.2 to about 16 over million. If you know Silver Sea, it has very huge floor plate. And then Côte d'Azur, there's no units for sale. So what does it tell you? If the resale is really asking about 1.2 average for 1 bedroom, if the 2 bedrooms is asking about 2 million and above, the 3 bedrooms is looking about 3 million, the 4 bedrooms is hovering about 2.5, 2.6 million, it only tells you that since these older developments are costing this kind of price, if you buy a brand new and the price of this brand new is lower than the resale asking, is it good to purchase? Okay, so let's take a look at 5 bedrooms. Okay, so 5 bedrooms itself, 19 years old H-Court is going about $5.5 million. There's no other units for sale in the other developments at this moment of time. And Amber Park by CDL, last 6 units, the current entry level is about 5 million to about close to $5.9 million. So due to low supply, even the older resale prices are high and limited, correct? So the resale prices are higher as proven. So how to find the best time to exit? Okay, so now you already know that brand new Tembusu Grand, why was it chosen as a gold mine? It's because it's brand new. And we do expect the selling price of this brand new development to be lower than what all these resale are asking in the market today, okay? Including with what we have covered earlier. So now, when is the best time to exit? Okay, what is your exit strategy? Let's take a look. We do note that due to the supply chart we saw earlier, okay, next year to 3 years later, there's going to be very limited stock in the market. So what happens? What you need to note from this chart is that why a lot of developments, like example, the Park Star, it managed to sell at so high price. Park Star actually came out in the market at the time about 1,004 plus per square foot. A lot of people were saying that the prices is so high, they do not want to buy. But then again, those of them who bought Park Star at the period of time, today the resale prices are looking about $2,000 per square foot. Even those who paid the full ABSD, 30% ABSD for a Park Star unit, today the capital appreciation, the profit is way higher. That means they make money even though they make a lot of money, not make money, make a lot of money even though they paid 30% ABSD. And why? Because there is no supply. Last year, the supply is so limited. I want to say no supply. There's too limited supply last year. And therefore, rental went on a crazy pace. All rental were at a very high price and is lasting all the way to today. So now, if you buy Tembusu Grand this year, 2023, you will know there's a lot of supply. But then when it comes down, okay, when it TOP, okay, which is looking maybe estimated based on developer verbal, they will try to target the TOP to be completed about end of 2025 or early 2026. You realize that it falls just nice into this period of time. I mean, this is always the best time to exit because this is the time where you can ask for high rental, and this is the time when you can ask for high resale price. Especially you have seen all the resale developments over there, which are so much older, they are already calling way higher price than what Tembusu Grand may call. So again, this chart itself will show you very clearly Thomson East Coast Line is going to complete. So we do note that the Thomson East Coast Line impact will cause property prices to increase. At the same time, when they complete, it also coincides with a very low supply period. So you see why we chose that as a gold mine. So when completed supply is low, rental becomes high. So how is rental? So let's take a look at Park Star. You see, what is the rental? A 1 bedroom, okay, 400 to 500 square feet is already commanding close to $4,000. Okay, some of them already transacted about 4,002 and above. Okay, a 2 bedrooms is already transacting close to 6,000. Okay, a 3 bedrooms is already almost 7,000. So these are all the average monthly rental transacted in Park Esta. That's why you know why we talk about the demand and supply and the stock availability. Okay, besides Park Esta, let's take a look at Seaside. Seaside is another leasehold. You look at their rental. Okay, for the bigger units is about above $10,000. For the 3 bedrooms is already about $6,000 to $7,000. The smaller units of 2 bedrooms are already ranging about $4,000. Okay, so of course we do expect these to increase even more. Okay, because again due to limited supply. So now let's base on some conservative calculation. We just take a look at what rental Park Esta and Seaside has achieved, and we try to plot an estimate rental for Tembusu Grand. We will note that if we were to rent out our 1 bedroom at about 4,000 to 4,002, based on the calculation, you should achieve a 3.6% yield. And we are basing on the price of about 1.37. We don't expect the price to be about so high, but we are based on a worst case scenario. Okay, that's why we based on conservative rental and on worst case scenario pricing. And yet, on the worst case scenario pricing, you're still able to achieve at a very high 3.67 rental yield. If we base at about 1.9 million for 2 bedrooms, okay, and we just base at a 4,008 to 5,008 per month rental, you realize that we are still able to achieve about another 3.68 rental yield. Do you realize that all the rental yield, even though we base on a higher selling price, is achieving at a very comfortable and very decent 3% rental yield? Remember, this is not our guide price. This is based on a worst case scenario situation calculation, because we do not know what the guide price yet. The guide price should only be released tomorrow. So the exit strategy will always be like Tembusu Grand, launched in 2023. Then Kallang Alive will take place in 2025. So that's when the spike of property prices will come. And then the 2026, because the peak of the resale market due to limited supply, no stock. And then to holding on beyond 2030, okay, the magical number given by the URA, all the transformation will take place. So the sky is the limit for this development, Tembusu Grand. So you've seen all these strong data and statistics. Now let's know why certain developments have stronger pulling power. Why do I bring your attention to this particular chart? Because a lot of you will be questioning me. Hey, I heard that not only Tembusu Grand is going to come up, Tembusu is coming up. So yes, land cost is higher, but maybe because they are freehold, right? And then another one coming up will be this Grand Diamond Road there. So these three land will compete with each other. They will cause a lot of supply in the market. Is this true? Let's take a look at data and statistics again. Why CDL? We know that Tembusu Grand is by CDL. Same thing, we note that Whistler Grand in the west is also by CDL. And when we bring it to the west, why? Because these three developments are about the similar timeline TOP. That means they collected key about the same timeline. Okay? Park Rivera and Twinview. When we compare the resale performance, we realize that Whistler Grand by CDL, even though the price is the highest among all, it achieved the highest resale performance. So we take a look at all the data for Park Rivera based on 1,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms comparison. Okay, based on Twinview, 3 bedroom comparison, based on Whistler Grand comparison. We do note that Whistler Grand has a smaller unit size of a 3 bedroom. But then again, the profit for Whistler Grand compared with Park Rivera and Twinview, do you realize that Whistler Grand achieved the highest profit margin, 400 over 1,000 profit compared to Park Rivera and Twinview? And don't forget, no, the whole area there is about 2,000 units or so. Very similar situation as what we are facing in the District 15 at this moment of time. But then again, why CDL's Park Rivera achieved higher resale prices? Then, this is the chart to show. Do you realize that the gap is very huge, okay, among the other two similar time TOP or key collection developments? They're all equally brand new about the same time. So when we talk about resale, let's talk about rental also. So we base on a 2-bedroom unit about 700 to 800 square feet. Okay? We also realized that Whistler Grand achieved higher rental compared to the other two developments. And the closest neighbor is about $500 per month rental higher. Strange, right? So is this a coincident thing, or is it because of the branding of CDL? That's why they managed to achieve better rental, and they also managed to achieve better resale price. So if we are not sure, then let me bring you to the east. Okay, we did another research and we found out again, this area here has about 2,100 units. Santorini, Tapestry, and Alps. And Tapestry also is by CDL. Okay, so when we compare all these units together, and you realize that Tapestry has the most unit compared to the rest. Again, similar timeline of key collection, TOP, you realize that the resale performance, Tapestry outperformed the other two developments sharply. Okay? Very huge. So this is how we plot. Okay, we took a square feet of Santorini, we took a Alps 700 square feet unit pricing also, and we take Tapestry pricing. And we realize that we plot all three together, you see the resale pricing of Tapestry by CDL. The profit margin is the highest among all. Right? So of course it happened in the West for Whistler Grand. Now it is happening again for Tapestry. Now, look at the rental, the resale performance, right? In chart wise, again, huge margin difference. Now let's take a look at rental. Again, similar situation. Higher than the closest neighbor by about $500 again. So, what is the impact of these two developments of Whistler Grand and Tapestry? It's the pulling power of CDL. CDL has a very strong reputation that a lot of people have very strong confidence in. Okay, regardless whether is it 99 or a leasehold, or is it freehold, or is it brand new or not, you realize that with a CDL branding, they always achieve higher resale prices and rental prices. So now we already are very assured by so many data to back up this particular investment. But why Katong? Let's take a look at Katong. Katong is located in the central region as mentioned by URA. It's located in a very nice district called District 15. But what is District 15? District 15 is actually consisting of 4 different planning areas: Geylang, Kallang, Bedok, and Marine Parade. And we are in the Marine Parade planning area. And in Marine Parade planning area, okay, you realize that it's divided into 4 subzones: Marine Parade, Mountbatten, Marina East, and Katong. And we are in the Katong planning area. So Katong is not a very huge area. It's only this small area. And you take a look, Katong, you look at this satellite, Google Earth, you realize that majority of your neighbors over here are landed homes. When you're living in a landed enclave, you know what's the advantage. I don't need to explain to you. So Katong, of course, has a very nice history. Okay, you know that this place is actually a very Peranakan place, and he has a lot of conservation. Okay, the locational attributes will show you that there's also no HDB in our vicinity because you are in a landed enclave area, right? So you realize when I plot the map, okay, based on the site itself, there is no HDB within your neighbor zone, and your neighbors are majority landed homes or private apartments, right? It's a very beautiful private enclave. And in this area also, there is a very huge conservation area. Okay, and we do know that conservation area and monument in Singapore are divided into all these areas, correct? We also know that all these conservation areas usually are more special and the value of properties there hold or grow better, right? And we note that we are in this part of a conservation. Okay, as we mentioned, we note the example Keong Siak Emerald Hill. As long as you are in this conservation area, okay, take a look at the property prices. Like in Keong Siak, you got Pinnacle Duxton. Look at this HDB. It's the most expensive HDB in Singapore, right? So conservation area has its huge advantage, and you look at where we are, look at our conservation houses just outside at our doorstep. So of course, Tembusu Grand is beautiful enough to have all these amenities within your short walking distance. Okay, like 6 minutes walk, you hit to Katong Shopping Centre. Approximately about 5 minutes walk, you hit to Tanjong Katong Primary. Okay, you also have the Canadian International School, and you have estimated about 7 minutes walk to the future Thomson East Coast line of Tanjong Katong MRT station. If you're driving, wow, approximately about 3 minutes away, you hit to Parkway Parade. Less than 10 minutes, you can even hit to Changi Airport. And if you're working in the central area, less than 2 minutes, you hit to the ECP. And then, of course, from there, you know, less than 5 minutes, you will hit to the financial district. Driving, you will see 10 minutes here from total, okay, including our traffic jams, even to the sports hub, to Joo Chiat, to Paya Lebar Central. So you realize that our location, within 10 minutes, we are very close to any of the transformation area which we talked about earlier. So of course, if you don't drive, okay, maybe you want to rent out unit to tenants. So tenants do not drive. And if they take public transport, at our doorstep itself, there's also a lot of buses which lead you to almost everywhere in Singapore. So for you, if you choose to walk, okay, the other area, okay, 6 minutes away, is another prominent area, what we call by the expatriate congregation area. We do note that our doorstep of Katong is already an expatriate congregation area. Later you'll see from the certain amenities over there. But the other part of the East Coast Road, this is what it is. This is where the shopping, is where all the other eatery lifestyle and food paradise are being located. So then again, this is walking distance from Tembusu Grand. So imagine your side gate of the development opens up to these amenities. As I mentioned, this is an expatriate congregation area. Why? Because you will see all these kind of lifestyle. There's Italian restaurants, there's Supernova over here. Okay, and we're just beside this place called Tipsy Cow, it's a bistro. You will see a lot of expatriates gathering in this area. And when you see expatriate gathering in this area, that means it tells you one thing. Expatriate will love to stay in this area because their lifestyle is over here. Your daily lifestyle needs are over here. Okay, so this is opening up to you from your doorstep, your side gate. So you've seen the master plan transformation areas. Now, how near is this gold mine to them? And this gold mine, of course, we already identified as Tembusu Grand, right? So you can see upwards, up north, you will hit to the Paya Lebar transformation. Down south, you hit to the Long Island plan, and of course, the Tanjong Katong MRT station. So you see how near, within 10 minutes, you hit to all these future transformation areas. So of course, one of the most important and crucial element of home buying are always schools. So you realize that we, Tembusu Grand, within 1 kilometer, we are near to super schools like Tanjong Katong Primary, Head Girls, Canadian International, and Tanjong Katong Girls School. Okay, even Hong Hua is within. So you realize that all these schools have huge achievement. If you want your children to be enrolled in a very good school so they have a very bright future, yeah, Tembusu Grand is within 1 kilometer to such schools. And of course, another crucial element is the daily lifestyle needs, which I emphasized earlier through the expatriate congregation area. So these are the cultural and food haven area of Katong. Okay, there's plenty of dining options and also shopping options. Oops. Yeah, and of course, the East lover know this very well. Why? When you live near the East Coast Park, a lot of people will go to, of course, seafood, right? And then nightlife, go for McDonald's, and then of course now during the pandemic, a lot of people start to learn to be healthy living. They like to cycle, they like to exercise, and a lot of East lovers love to spend their family time gathering at East Coast Park. So of course, East Coast Park itself has this Long Island route where if you cycle, you can or jog, you can actually run around the whole entire Singapore. This is how it's connected. So what is this Gold Mine Tembusu Grand? Let's go into the development itself now. Tembusu Grand itself consists, okay, it's actually rooted in heritage and charming Huttons. Okay, that is how the whole planning was created. Of course, it's created by two Singapore renowned developers, City Developments, CDL, and MCL Land. So of course, we have seen the pulling power of CDL from just now Whistler, Grand, and Tapestry, right? So of course, CDL itself has a lot of developments, okay, which they have constructed over the years. And recent development, the EC Copen at Tengah, it was sold out, right? In their launch, yeah, it's sold out in launch. How often do you come across in history that EC were to be sold out on launch day? Right? And Piccadilly Grand itself, of course, is about 87% sold, right? Based on the chart earlier. Okay, so these developments are actually jointly developed by CDL and MCL, including Copen Grand and Piccadilly. Right, so come to the location map. You will note that this map itself will show our location and the 10 minutes drive to all those north, south, east, west transformation zones of the URA. And if you're traveling to the show flat on preview day, we are just almost literally beside the actual site. Okay, of course, the gallery is still a little distance away, a little walking distance away. You have to turn in, drive into Head Road, turn into Jalan Binjai or Jalan Tembusu, and you will come to this gallery area. So you can use, if you are not driving, you are taking Grab, okay, you can use 11 Binjai, Jalan Binjai, at postal code 438544 as a guide. You can get this map itself from our Huttons associate also, so that you are able to orientate yourself better. So the project overview, let's go into the project itself. You will note that it's a joint venture between CDL and MCL, Tembusu Residential Private Limited. It will consist of 4 blocks, 20 and 21 stories high. The land size, as I mentioned, is super huge. It's 210,622 square feet. It will consist in future of 638 units, okay, 99 years commencing from estimated 25th April 2022. Okay, vacant possession here is stated as October 2028, but as I mentioned earlier, the developer is targeting to hand over, that means TOP the development end of 2025 or early 2026. So of course, this development itself consists of 1 plus study, 2 bedrooms, 2 plus study, 3 bedrooms, 3 plus study, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, and penthouse. So total 638 units. You will take a look at the 1 plus study. It's a very simple development where the sizes do not offer you in different variety. The configurations are all very straightforward. 1 bedroom, the size is at 527. The 2 bedrooms will be at size 667. The 2 plus study is at 743, which is so happen to be our show flat unit. We also have a compact 3 bedrooms at 990 and a 3 plus study at about 1173 square feet, which also happen to be a show unit. And the 4 bedrooms at 1432, another show unit. And of course, if you like 5 bedrooms, as you know, there's a limited stock of 5 bedrooms in the area. You have one at 1711 square feet. And you take a look at the maintenance fee. Very, very attractive maintenance fee. Why I mention attractive maintenance fee? Because later slide, you will realize something this development have, which most other developments do not have. So of course, you can see which block consists of the 21 stories. Only block 92 has 21 stories. The rest are all at 20 stories. This is actually due to the land itself. So site orientation, you will note that the development is built north-south facing. Okay, so you don't have to worry of any afternoon sun, okay, which most people will be worried of. And you will note that you're surrounded by all these landed neighbors, which means the air circulation over here is very strong. You will have very strong wind circulation over here. So the indoor recreational space created is also very beautiful. There's two clubhouses. One is called the Grand Club, and the other one is the Tembusu Club. And then there's also kids play area, yoga studios, and co-working lounge created in this development itself. So these are some of the pictures of the Grand Club and the Tembusu Club. Site plan. We have actually plotted in all the different unit types. So when you come down through our Huttons Associate invite, you will see all these plans, which unit faces where and which stack is located where. Okay. Green features. You will note that this development is Green Mark Platinum. You know that not many developments are Green Mark Platinum. To achieve Green Mark Platinum, they need to achieve a very high standard. And air circulation is one of the most crucial elements for a Green Mark Platinum. So this development itself, every single unit will have a very nice air circulation throughout the whole unit. And I want to stress on this because you know that a lot of developments where you go and view the actual unit at time, you realize that even though it may be a north-south facing, but when you open up the balcony door, it seems like the unit is very humid. There's no air circulation. Okay, Tembusu Grand achieve Green Mark Platinum because every single unit will be able to achieve this air circulation. So your house will not feel stuffy at all. So of course we have this contemporary scheme, mainly for the 1 to 3 bedrooms. So these are some of the finishes which you will be seeing in our show flat when you come down on our preview day. Okay, so of course, kitchen is very beautifully designed. Most importantly, they fit. Okay, most importantly is that later when you see the fittings, appliances, you'll be very impressed. So of course, for the 4 and 5 bedrooms and the penthouses, you'll come with the luxury scheme. So luxury scheme will come with a much darker mood finish. Okay, you can see all the finishes. Do you realize that this looks like a boutique, right? A branded boutique. So of course, this is how it will look like. When you come down to the show flat, you'll be more impressed with seeing and feeling it yourself. So this is the fittings. Wow. Miele appliance is actually provided for every single unit. Usually such branded appliance, okay, is only provided where? Central area, right? So now at Tembusu Grand, we are providing you with Miele, right? And the refrigerator is actually provided by Liebherr. So Liebherr is actually the refrigerator, German brand for refrigerator. And then for the other appliances will be Smack. Okay, the washer and dryer is provided by Snack. So you realize that the kitchen provision here is fantastic. And this development comes with smart home system. We do know that today a lot of developments are still using the older technology of home system. But this development itself, you are able to use your handphone to control the entire house interface. Even booking of the facilities, to even opening the gate for your visitors to come to your house, or maybe your parents come to visit the house when you are at work, you can actually use your handphone to control. At the same time, when you drive, okay, they are using actually a vehicle access control. That means camera recognition. They recognize your car plate to open up. So it's very modern technology for this development. And this is the thing, residential services. Wow, residential services. How often do you see residential services out of a central area development? Residential services is similar to hotel services, right? So what is the residential services provided for Tembusu Grand? You have this reception area, okay, welcoming arrival assistance, okay. You also have all these facility reservation, delivery acceptance, especially when you're working and you are not home, you need your parcels needed to be delivered from your online shopping. This concierge service here is able to receive it on your behalf. And you come home from work, you just need to collect from the residential service counter. And of course, if you do not want to pay the high levy or pay high salary of the maids today, if you own a maid, you will know what I'm talking about. Okay, you can actually use the housekeeping services and the laundry services by this residential service. So imagine with this residential service, tenants will love your unit even more, especially when you collect key. Why? Because most tenants will prefer to live in a hotel if they can. But of course, hotel rates are very high. Service apartment rate also very high. That's the reason why they choose to rent a private apartment. And when you have all these similar hotel kind of services in the development, you will stand out very strongly to these potential tenants in future, right? So of course, these are some of the views you're getting from the development. 10th and 20th floor. So on the 10th floor, towards north, you have very nice unblocked view, right? You can see very far because of the landed enclave. Towards south, wow, again, a very beautiful view. On the 20th floor, towards north, wow, do you realize that 10th floor and 20th floor, the view, seriously not much of a difference because it's already that beautiful on the 10th floor. And 20th floor, again, you can see sea view from the 20th floor. Of course, you do not see the full sea view, but to have a pocket sea view like this is pretty nice. Okay, so we do note that preview day is starting on the 24th of March, Friday, right? Have you booked your appointment with your Huttons associate yet? Okay, please book your viewing appointments now. How to book your viewing appointments? Okay, how to register? What you need to do is contact your Huttons associate or contact a Huttons associate. Okay, register your appointment from 24th to 4th April. Okay, once you register your appointment with your Huttons associate, you'll receive a VIP pass. So this will be the VIP pass you receive from your Huttons associate. All you need to do is flash this VIP pass upon entry. So for those of you who are hoping not to miss out an opportunity on this beautiful gold mine development, you just need to bring along your NRIC and a blank check just in case, so that you're able to register your appointment. And then of course, once you register your appointment, you need to get your finances in place. You can get from your Huttons associate the banker contact to do some assessment, get your IPA done, your in-principle loan approval done, and then finally get ready for the balloting and booking day. Because balloting, when you place your interest, it doesn't mean that you have bought a unit at Tembusu Grand. You still need to go through this balloting because you will be determined on the queue order for you to come in on booking day to choose your unit. Okay, so once after you choose your unit, okay, your Huttons associate will guide you through the whole process and finalize everything for you. Okay, so take action today. Get your goal from this gold mine. Okay, contact your Huttons associate.